let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Amoeba podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Palinger.
I am not here. I am, in fact, a hyper agent.
Access, Flash. Also with us, Ryan Stokely.
Yo, what's up?
So, Brandon, I may have mentioned this to you. I may have mentioned this on the podcast a little while ago when it was teased, but Mob Psycho 100 is having a season 3.
I think you did mention it, but it was a while ago.
So, it is coming out in October, which is, I think, the same time Boku no Hero 6 is starting up.
Great! One after another.
So, if are we going to cover Mob Psycho on the channel or just Boku no Hero?
I mean, we can try. It's not like those aren't short things.
No, I mean as a weekly thing.
It's not like they're very long or anything.
Okay. So, cool. Look forward to that in October, along with Futo PI or Futo Tanti coming in August. So, more stuff coming from us. Subscribe if you want to see them and be reminded about that.
Hit the bell, do the things, love the stuff.
Yeah, it's your boy.
Yeah. So, other than that, I don't really have any major announcements going on. My mouth situation's healing up nicely, and Dungeon Munchies is still yet to be updated in the beta, with it supposedly coming out in the full version. I believe it's June 20-something. I mean, July 20-something. So about 2-ish months. Hopefully the beta will be updated so I could play through it, so I can kind of expect things when we play through it.
He wants to be the god of this world.
But that's it for me. Let's just say Ryan this time. Anything going on with you?
Let's see. Yeah, I just been collecting comics. All
Link
kinds of comics. Mostly Spawn. I got a autographed issue number 16 of Spawn.
Ooh.
By Greg Capullo.
Nice.
And it's like the first appearance of Redeemer, which is the anti-Spawn. Comes from heaven. And they kind of join forces to fight stuff. But, yeah. Just been doing that. I really haven't played anything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Redeemer is anti-Spawn, right?
Yeah.
Would you call him... Would you say that a good nickname would be Despawn?
Oh, damn. Yeah. I would.
Oh, God, that was horrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone that had to hear that.
I liked it.
Of course you did! Oh, God, somebody's got to keep your puns on track.
Okay, Brandon, anything going on with you?
I finished up... we mentioned this one. Well, actually, I don't even know if that'll show up. Given our recent technical difficulty. Yeah, I finished up Pokemon Legends Arceus, at least to the point that I'm willing to finish it. I've gotten to the end of almost everything except for the part where it's like, hey, collect all the Pokemon so that they're registered in the Pokedex, and then you meet, the namesake of the actual game. And I'm like, cool. Don't feel like ever doing that right now. Maybe later I'll come back, but not now. I'm kind of done. So I finally picked up Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I had since Christmas, and started busting that thing out. Gotta say, so far, I'm really liking it. I don't know if they've changed this, but last I had heard, it runs worse if you try to put it up on the big screen rather than on the portable mode of the Switch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because from what I understand of how it works, at least at the time when I had heard it. For all I know, there's been an update and that's changed. I don't know. The actual distance rendered when it's docked versus in your hands
Mm-hmm.
is like bigger than it should be, and the Switch itself can't handle it. Like things start getting real choppy.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Whereas when you have it as a handheld, the render distance is lower. So like any mobs that are roaming around the world, you only see them if they're at a certain distance versus like a much farther distance on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's a little too much for the Switch, which is like great when we get in that Switch Plus that people have been spouting rumors about for years.
So is that kind of like PS5 Pro, or is that like the Switch 2?
Switch Plus would just be an upgraded version of the Switch, so yeah, PS Plus kind of
Okay.
thing, or PS4 Pro, I guess is
Okay.
what that one is. Yeah, it would just be like a minor upgrade with like better hardware and stuff. The only thing they've released so far has been the literal the non-dock Switch. I forget what that one was called. Switch Lite, I think, which wouldn't change anything. And then you've also got the OLED model, which is just a bigger, better screen for in your hand.
Mm-mm.
It's got a couple of other things, like you get an Ethernet port now with that one, but that's really it. There's not much else going on there. Hardware is still more or less the same otherwise. So yeah, there've been rumors of there's going to be a better Switch coming out at some point, but who knows? Who knows what internal reasons may have, delayed that, whether that's the supply chain breakdown or what have you. Or hell, even if it was just a rumor to start and that was it.
Yeah.
As for other things, actually I have a question for you two.
Okay.
Hmm.
Have you guys ever listened to ASMR?
Like,
A
people
few
eating
times?
food, or like the Twitch streamers who just like lick ears. I
All right, is there a
I've
fetish you have that you haven't told us about?
Have you opened up Twitch front page?
I have not.
Sure. The whole front page is just like half naked chicks licking ear things.
Well, I mean, that's just been Twitch in general for the last few years.
Yeah. But
Don't forget
Licking
the pools.
ear things.
Don't forget the pools.
yeah. Oh yeah,
It's it's a binaural thing where it's like, think of it this way. It's a way to get like a stereo effect of sounds coming from one side of your headset or the other side that you're listening to it with. That's what the ear
okay.
thing is for, basically.
Yeah.
But instead of like licking ears, licking ear things. Just
Well, yeah, because it's molded to be like ears, so that way it
Yeah, it's like a
mimics
ear
the
microphone type thing.
oh,
it mimics the way that your ear would pick up something.
okay. I
Yeah.
thought like this was like an I don't know what my brain was thinking, but just ear followed by the word thing. I'm just like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's just Takioing just doing his whole cherry lick thing in your ear.
Yeah.
Or Bruno, like this is a taste of an ear.
But
Oh.
yeah, I've listened to like regular ASMR, like Rain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff.
So I never thought I'd be interested in it because I've always looked at it like, I guess for those who like it, it just doesn't seem like it would do anything for me. But then I'm
Mhm.
like, I recently, and by recently I mean within the last month or so, I'm like, you know what? There's this one thing that anytime it happens, it gets me, and I don't know why. And it's just the simple sounds of like getting a haircut.
Okay.
Really?
Like for whatever reason, I always get like this tingle in the back of my neck anytime I'm getting one, and it's just like, what is this? So I have tried a couple of haircut ASMRs, which do exist, and they've essentially done the same thing, where it's triggered that like weird tingly feeling in the back of my neck, and I'm just like, what? I don't even know what this is, but whatever it is, the sounds of it, because I thought it was just like. Originally, I had always thought it was just like the electric razor when they're like at the back of your neck, just trimming that edge. I thought
Yeah.
it was just the vibrations from that were like triggering it for me, but it's not. It's even the sound at this point. And I don't know if that's just like the psychological end of things, of just the sound and the vibration have just become one after doing it for so many years.
Yeah.
And either one is enough to make that happen, or what. But it's even like just regular with the scissors cutting too. It'll do it. It's weird. I mean, I like the feeling. It's not bad. And the weirdest part was, I remember distinctly when I first got this feeling, it was like when I was reading a book and they were describing it. Like describing getting a haircut. Now, as fucked up as it is, right?
Yeah.
That was in a horror book I was reading.
What?
Yeah. It was I think the book, if I'm remembering right, it was a group of a book of short stories. I think it was called Land of the Lawn Weenies. And that was just from one of the titles of one of the short stories in there, and it was probably the most ridiculous sounding one that they chose. But the story was essentially about how kid would go in to get his haircut with this one guy every time, right? And it was an old barber shop, so it was only the one dude. But he got there and it was somebody different that had never been there before. And it's like, oh, I'm just new and he's sick. You know, I'm taking over for a little bit. It's like, okay, sure. And like, as he's getting his hair cut, he's noticing things in the mirror, like a leg sticking out of a door that shouldn't be there. And it getting slid back into the door slowly, like he's trying not to get noticed, you know? So, like, I forget exactly how it ends, because this was like back in either very early high school or end of middle school that I read this. Essentially, the whole idea is like, I forget if he actually came out with it, but the implication is definitely that like the guy cutting your hair is a serial killer that killed the previous barber, and he's just doing this so that way you'll leave and he can finish the job.
Yeah.
But yeah, like hearing the descriptions of that was the first time I remember feeling the trigger for it and just getting that shiver in the spine.
By the way, Brandon, that is part of a book series all titled around noun something something, but like Land of the Lawn Weenies, Invasion of the Road Weenies, Strikeout of the Bleacher Weenies, Attack of the Vampire Weenies, Check out the Library Weenies.
It's just a Weenies series, apparently.
Yes, it is.
I had no idea.
There's 9 books.
I think I got it at Scholastic Book Fair or something is when I picked it up.
What the fuck? This is just out of hand, man. You freaking come and tell us what your new fetish is, and then you fucking show us these books.
I didn't even know it existed until now. I only knew of one.
The Battle of the Red Hot Pepper Weenies.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
That sounds like an American name for a JoJo stand. Red Hot Pepper Weenie. Okay. Alright. Oh, are you done, Brandon?
I got nothing else. That was it.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. One more question.
Yeah.
Actually, related to this. For those people that do like the whole whispering thing with ASMR, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think they get off on it?
I think some of them do.
Maybe some of these people actually have like a whisper fetish.
It could be that. I was leaning more toward the idea of like, oh, my voice is affecting people in a way that makes me feel powerful, and I'm getting off on this power.
Maybe. I don't know, man. Because
the one I have found, like, there's constantly that like half chuckle going on every time, and I'm just like, are you getting off on that? Like, what's going on here?
Oh, like, so the ASMR getting off rather than the ASMR-E.
Yes.
Okay,
the person performing the ASMR, not the one listening.
Okay. Maybe? Okay, Ryan, today's anime is a 1990... what am I saying? 20...
Did we watch the same thing? What's going on here?
That will definitely be cut out. Today's anime is a 2018 series, SSSS.Gridman.
Here, I'll give you a little thing, Orion. They never explain what the 4 S's mean or stand for.
Alright.
So, for all intents and purposes, I would ignore it.
They do in the final episode, you do see a message.
Then I completely missed it.
This name sounds familiar, like something from the 90s, the 1990s. I'm just poking fun at Brandon's earlier blunder.
Yes. Yes, that may or may not be edited out.
No. um.
See, Orion's making it so that you can't edit it out.
Yeah.
Crap.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm still thinking of the ASMR thing and the
It's-
haircut thing.
see, it's a mind worm. It's not gonna let you go.
But what's it called? It's like
SSSS.Gridman.
Gridman. Gridman. All right. Is it a? I'm gonna guess a robot. It's gonna be kind of like similar to Mega Man, but it's some guy invents this robot, and the government discovers him and takes the guy away and like puts him in like some kind of jail or whatever. And a lightning storm happens, and the robot, who is Gridman, because he uses an electrical grid, I guess, he can like stay powered as long as there's electrical things around him running off like a main thing. But yeah, so he becomes like activated, and since the code, like the code that's written in him, he like knows who created him. So he somehow realizes that the guy's missing, and it's just this robot looking for the creator of him.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe even it's like some kind of like, yeah, I would say like a corporate goons that just like kidnap this guy and like try to interrogate him to like, so they get like schematics or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds kinda cool. But this is, I would say, like, you do have some aspects right, but a lot of it wrong. There is technology, there is a power source involved, and that's
Something I don't think they're very clear on what that is.
yeah, I don't really know either. But as I tease at the end of the last episode, this deals with a boy with amnesia and
Yeah.
kaijus.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. The grid, like, anytime they mention kaijus, they always have like a grid to like protect like this certain thing, like
So here's one thing, right? Like by the end of this, I was kind of curious, although I'm not willing to go back through it just for this reason. I was curious how many times the word kaiju is said in the series. In the 12 episodes that this has.
What I'm really interested in, and we'll get back to it, but Annalicius, I think her name was. She apparently is a background character in the first 5 episodes.
the fuck.
Was that the little girl?
Yes. Who said
Okay.
who said I've been watching you?
Yeah.
She has, and I'm wondering if she's in every episode now in the background.
Could be.
Like,
Though they don't really give us a lot of info on her.
right. So, our main character, well, we have like 2 real main characters here. Yuta Hibiki, the boy with amnesia.
I like the word real being chosen here as a word.
Right?
Shutter Island type thing.
Refresh me, what is Shutter Island?
I know the name. That's about it.
Leonardo DiCaprio thinks he's a detective the whole time, but he's actually just like one of the insane people on the island, and he thinks like it's just like everyone is just role playing with him.
I was really hoping you were about to say he thinks he's a real boy.
Yeah, I'm a real boy.
His nose just grows longer because he doesn't actually believe it.
And the main title character, come here, Discord, Gridman, which
Oh, he looks cool as hell. He fights off the kaiju. Is that like a giant mech?
yes, and
Cool.
the thing is, he is powered by this computer. So, and this is a maybe 90s style computer.
I'd go further back. I'd say more 80s, considering all the wiring and shit that's going on there.
Yeah, so
An old IBM.
this computer, junk, tends to overheat. And when it overheats, Gridman is in dire states. And if junk would ever crash, Gridman would technically be defeated?
I'd say incapacitated, not quite defeated.
Yep, thank you for the better choice of words. And usually, by the end of the kaiju fight, although it's not shown a lot, junk tends to be overheating. So, Gridman can only be out in short bursts.
So here's, you know what? I'll wait because we'll get to this character because I have other questions. Because I feel like it's not junk.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it is. I don't think it's junk because it doesn't make sense for it to be junk
And
when other characters have a similar limitation.
And our other main characters in the Gridman Alliance are Rika and Sho. Sho is this kind of kaiju nerd. He keeps bringing up the Ultra series, and Rika is... Would you say she's one of the more popular girls, or not really?
Here's the thing. I wouldn't say she's the popular girl. If only because there's plenty of situations where they show off Shinjo, who you'll get to in a minute, being way more popular than her.
Mm-hmm.
Rika's got her own little set of friends, which are like two of them, one of which just constantly wears a mask just for show.
What kind of mask?
Oh, like a medical mask. Like you would
Okay.
wear if you were sick or something and try to keep those germs in.
Okay. Well, it'd be a lot cooler if she wore like a hockey mask or something. Or a ninja mask or
I mean,
pirate.
there's a point where a hockey mask would have been
Thing.
appropriate, but that's not till near the end.
Eye
Yeah.
patch. A knight's helmet. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, now you're just listing off stuff that we saw in the goddamn bookseller series.
Some chicken, some pizza, some roast beef, some chicken.
Yeah.
You said chicken twice.
So, Yuta, although he has amnesia, he keeps hearing this voice calling him. So he goes to this thrift store, which just so happens to be run by Rika's mother. And he finds this ancient computer with...
Whoa! You've missed a complete section in here where he literally wakes up in Rika's place because he passed out on the street before we even started the show.
How did he get there?
They never say how he got there. He was just walking out front and passed out. That's all they tell you.
And Rika's like, hey, I'm gonna take you in.
I mean, they're not going to leave you passed out, potentially dead on the street.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't even remember my name. I don't even remember where I live. So, do we know each other? Do you think, well, screw it, he kind of has feelings for Rika, but doesn't really ever admit it until possibly post final episode, but in the beginning they said, like, "Are we friends?" And she kind of like half scoffs at him. But do you think he was going to confess to her pre-episode 1?
I have no idea, especially considering the fact that Rika mentions that they barely talked really up until that point. Because
Because
Shinjo starts questioning her on shit, and she's like, "Oh, we barely talked up until recently." So unless he was going to do it out of the blue,
yeah. And so he goes into this thrift store and finds an old computer that talks to him with the voice of Gridman, this so-called hyper agent, and saying that Yuta is the only one that could save the world. So Gridman pulls.
it's up to you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope.
So Gridman pulls Yuta into the computer. They merge bodies, and Gridman pops out into the real world to fight kaiju.
So I know how they explain this near the end. I'm still unsure why they physically need Yuta.
I
Like
don't
that part isn't exactly clear.
Yeah.
Like originally they're like, "Oh, you're the reason I can materialize in this world," and I'm like, "Hey," but then that's discredited by the end point where they have a bigger reveal of like, "Oh, this is the whole reason you're connected," and it's like, "But wait, then why does he need to like physically be in the thing?"
Do we want to go over Gridman's sidekicks? Kind of?
Oh, you mean the new toys? Sure, why not?
And why are they called junior high students? They're not junior high students.
Like 3 of them are clearly like late 20s, early 30s. And then one of them is literally a middle schooler.
Samurai Caliber looks like he was in his 30s.
Yeah, he's like early 30s. What was the other one's name? The big guy with the mask.
Max.
Max looks like he's late 30s, maybe very early 40s.
Boar looks like...
She would be junior high technically, because that'd be middle school.
Actually, I listened to the English dub, and Boar is male.
Oh, interesting, because it sounds like a female in the Japanese.
When I was reading about it, like, that voice actress always does young female characters. So when the concept art first popped out, they're like, this is going to be a definite female because voiced by her. Nope, confirmed it is a male character.
Weird, okay. Also, was it just me, or did Boar remind you of a certain character that was having delusions in a previous series we watched? Does it look...
Shit. I can't forget the name of the hammer!
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir!
Like, does it not look like he should be swinging fucking, like, hacky sacks from the ends of those pigtails?
Yes. It would have been a lot funnier if I would have just, like, shouted Mjolnir instead of, like, completely... I knew it was Dekamori, but I wanted to go for more of a reference than...
It looks nearly identical. All you need to do is make the hair longer. And give her a suit, and that's it.
And the other one is Vit, who is this mid-20s guy, and they all wear suits.
Vit's also very lazy.
Yeah.
In his spare time being lazy.
Well, guess it's my turn to help.
It's like, oh, me, really? Ugh. There's even a point where they like ask him to watch the shop, and the guy's asking him about shit that's there. It's like, I have no idea. I don't know if there's nothing else there. I guess not.
Well, if it's not on the shelf, I guess we don't have any. Like, okay.
Yeah, Yuta one of the things they do is Yuta like teleports himself into the computer when he's there with like a whole henshin pose. He goes in and he becomes Gridman, and which again materializes out of nowhere and just pops up in the city.
But one thing about the henshin pose, his right hand has his wrist. His right wrist has the device. His pose is he brings his arms across in a cross pattern, and his left wrist really has nothing. And I've watched some series where like they have something on the left wrist to like connect into the right one. So to me, he should have like there was a button he should have pressed rather than using his wrist across to do it.
But anyway, he does that, and then the others all like do the same thing, and they become different vehicles essentially.
It's like Power Rangers almost.
Basically, Max becomes like a tank or whatever, a weird tank. Boar becomes like a drill with missiles.
Sounds about right.
Vit is an airplane. And Caliber is just straight up a sword. He ain't fancy in any way. He's just a sword.
I would say Samurai Caliber is one of my top 3 favorite characters in here.
To be fair, he looks super goddamn intimidating, but then he's just got a stutter. It's like it completely ruins that intimidating visage he has, and I love it.
But I just love it in episode 3 where everybody's at school, a kaiju's attacking, and he just jumps through the window, grabs Yuta's like, we need to go now.
Yuta and Rika, I think. He grabs on both.
And he just lunges out the window, and they're like, who was that and what just happened?
Oh no, he grabbed Yuta and Utsumi, or Sho, I guess is what you know him as.
Mm-hmm.
And then they picked up Rika because Rika didn't show up at school right away.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Rika on the way and just threw them on his back, and just leaping from building to building to get back to the fucking junk shop.
And when we're first introduced to Caliber, he always carries a sword on his back that's
4, really, but okay.
Wider than the door frame. So his introduction is walking through a door, his sword's smashing into the door frame behind him, locking him in place.
Yep. Each of them have their own thing. And for the first handful of episodes, it's basically like, what's the new toy that we're going to throw onto Gridman? How does he combine with the new one?
Although, did you notice something? That the one episode where Yuta could not become Gridman, I forget what the reason was, the assist weapons were like, we need to do this ourselves, and...
it was the one where they were unconscious in, like, the dream, right?
Oh, yes. Did you notice that Max and Vit switched limbs?
I didn't, actually.
Vit became the arms, Max became the legs.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait, why?
I mean, by that logic, can't Vit just shoot out, like, rockets out of his now arms?
Maybe?
Just shoot a fire blast out of that thing now? Because it is a rocket engine on those ends.
Potentially? And although I didn't know about this until I was reading about it, much like one of the other series on Taxi, they had short sound dramas, which are like audio pieces with some of the characters in between episodes, like after each episode. So maybe I'll see if I can look them up to see what they're about. Because, like, to me, this was a pretty good series. This was, like, fun.
It's a fun series. It's pretty clear what it's doing, where it's like, buy the new toy that's coming out today. I don't hate that, but it is pretty obvious.
There doesn't seem to be any regular toys that I could find, except for, like, high-end collectors models and stuff.
Hmm.
So
Either
although,
way, it's definitely set up to be like that.
yeah,
Even if there isn't actually a product, it feels like there should be.
and
Because
then
it's
well,
advertising it that way.
this was only 4 years ago, so I
Usually within a year or two, they come out with something, though. If there wasn't already a plan for it.
maybe,
I mean, how do you think like Sentai does it? Because that's the same kind of setup.
yeah.
So yeah, there's that fun stuff. I believe you've been ignoring Shinjo for the most part, who you should probably bring up sooner or later.
Yes, our resident fan of kaiju, the Ultra series, and mechs in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do they have a sign that says #1 Kaiju fan?
N- no.
They wave it around
I
when they
mean, she
smash
is
it?
wearing a hoodie that has horns on it.
Okay, close enough.
And he's like the more smart guy of the group who thinks up like situations and stuff. And he's the one that's like, yeah, we should start a team. We should be the Gridman Alliance.
That show Utsumi. I was talking Shinjo.
Oh, Shinjo, I'm sorry. Like, okay, because like I know them by their first name rather than last name. Sorry.
Akane.
Yes. I'm not too sure if I should retract this statement, but in the beginning, when I only saw the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh, she's cute. She's my favorite girl in this series. But by the end,
Yeah, I remember you telling me this, and you were only 2 episodes in.
yeah, and you're like, oh, huh.
Interesting choice. You're like, don't tell me she's a tsundere. I'm like, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, she is. I don't want to say like evil or because she is being manipulated by somebody and she creates kaiju out of clay
I
or
believe that's clay, yeah, because they have like the wire for like the skeleton, and then the clay dries, and they just paint it.
yeah
That's
so,
usually what it is with this
so
clay.
she is she's a big fan of just kaiju in general and
Because, why don't the kaiju win? The kaiju should win sometimes.
And I just found this line funny that she says about the Ultra series that, where is it? I know there's some exceptions, but they shouldn't make episodes without kaiju in them. That episode does not have a kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and I don't know how deeply I should get into her this early because there's some big secrets about her.
I mean, it feels pretty clear pretty early on what's going on. Like, we get visuals of her in her quote-unquote room.
Is it a room though?
See, that's the thing. We don't know where that is, like, where that space physically is.
Yeah. And she also has a friend in a computer, Alexis Karib.
It was pronounced Carib in the subs, but hey.
But Alexis Karib, or Carib, who is this?
Carrot?
How would you
Kakarot?
how would you describe this guy?
He's got a big cloak. He's got big old fancy World of Warcraft shoulder pads that the cloak is wrapped in. He's got himself like a flaming helmet that he wears.
Oh, cool.
And every time he talks, it like shows like LED looking teeth on the mask that move
That's
around.
Cool. That is pretty neat.
Yeah, and
Oh, I didn't even notice before that he has like fucking plugs or whatever on him.
Now I want all my teeth removed and just put in LEDs.
and
Scrolling lettering.
and he's the one that brings the kaiju into the real world.
Again,
Okay.
that word of real is nice.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Can I just say I'm pretty sure I was right with what I said because it still didn't contradict me yet. It's one of two things, and either way, I'm technically right.
You will take the win on this.
I like
Ryan.
my points. I'll just hoard them over here, thank you.
Ryan, any questions yet?
Not really.
Okay, so
It's just like robots and giant monsters.
basically,
I don't really think you need to go over the plot too much in this because a lot of it's just what's your villain of what's your monster of the week,
Okay.
basically.
They
uh,
only did
Some of the
one.
background stuff involving Akane is probably the most important of it,
yeah.
Okay.
and Auntie when we get to him.
Okay.
Did you have a favorite kaiju, Brandon?
Depends. Are we classifying by design or by power?
Let's just go with by design.
Then it's probably gonna have to be the dream one because it looks like a giant brontosaurus that looks really neat. And the fact that it's just unable to be touched until you destroy it in the dream world is great.
Wait. I'm just looking up the technical name for this guy.
Because they don't actually have names, at least none that are outright stated in the show.
And I'm just going to use his actual name, but Mechagolgigas.
All right, there you go, that one.
Yeah, which is a upgraded model of the very first kaiju. It's like basically
Oh, that's not the one that I was talking about.
No, the one I like.
Okay, gotcha.
Yours Boojok.
Boojok. What the
All right,
hell's that?
cool.
Sounds like a giant.
I was gonna say
head of a
if we're
monster.
going by the power set, then I liked the Puppeteer.
Oh, that one was good too.
That was a neat one.
Yeah, that one was cool. Because that one has this. Oh shoot, what's that shape called? Crap. But it's this little drone that flies around, and whenever it's destroyed, it's reformed. Except that's not the real kaiju. The real kaiju is maybe about a good 300 feet in the sky manipulating this.
Damn.
Yep. And you can't see the lines that are making him
Just
move.
like a floating set of hands or something.
It's one giant like a human-shaped kaiju up in the air. The
Whoa.
only thing I was like a little disappointed by with that one was basically the idea of like he should be wielding multiple of those things, like at least one for each hand.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Now, if you wanted to get more monster-esque, he could have had 4 arms, like replace the legs with arms, and he has 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like the setup for that one the best, I think, and like the power set for that one. But my overall winner has definitely got to be the Gogon or whatever the
Boojok.
Boojok, that one. Yep, the Dreamer.
Yeah, but so I would say like all the monster designs seemed very unique.
What about that last one? The one that had that looked like it was fucking real messed up. Like it had that look of like just kill me.
That seemed very Giger-esque.
I did not see that as Giger-esque in any way. It looked like a mutant, like it had some kind of weird spike sticking out of it, and the head is off to the side of the spike.
How many eyes?
On that one too.
Okay. Are any of the kaiju holding their eyes?
No.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
They are
That was
not
a-
Crumb.
Yeah, they missed an opportunity there. That would
Yeah.
have been cool.
Yeah, they were going for more classic kaiju kind of looks rather than like
Okay.
super creativity.
Did they have any with like drill hands?
Mechagolgius could turn its neck into its head into a drill
Okay.
because it had like these pieces that would like snap over its head and just drill from there. But let's just go with the rival here, Auntie,
The person who doesn't know what a bath is.
the person that doesn't know what school is.
What's apologize?
What is this feeling of anger I have for Gridman deep in my heart?
Oh, it's the thing you were born with because your entire point of existence is to beat Gridman. But what do you do after that?
I've never thought of that.
Oh my god.
But I still want to crush him at every opportunity. And this may sound like a complete non sequitur, but I want to try a hot dog with an egg on it.
That actually sounds alright.
Yeah, it's like a hard-boiled egg on there, some lettuce. Not sure what else
Whoa.
was mixed in.
I
I don't
thought
know about lettuce, dude.
I
What
thought
the
there was
heck?
a little bit of tomato.
It might have been.
Wait, is this an actual sandwich in the show?
Yes.
Okay.
It was on like an actual, I want to say something closer to a hot dog or a hamburger bun. Because the
Was it
hot dog wiener's sticking out way far on either end.
They
Yeah.
didn't fillet it, like cut it in half?
Nope.
Make it into 4 planks?
Nope. They called it the special dog.
Huh.
So, yeah, like when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. A few episodes later, they were having one again. I'm just like, now I want to try it.
So there is one other thing that we haven't pointed out yet. So it's Monster of the Week. However, if anyone dies, everything gets reset by the next day. But if anyone dies during the fight, they just kind of disappear and the world kind of rewrites them out of existence. So for instance, one of the first people that die, when the world gets like reset, it's said that she died back in middle school rather than in the high school that they're at.
Why are there less deaths than usual? What are you talking about? We already had this many deaths. Well, what about this girl? Who are you talking about? Our classmate. We don't have a classmate named that.
So now the question becomes, how in the hell does that work?
What are your theories, Arion?
Of the kaiju?
No, like, why are people being erased from existence when they die and not being rewritten back to life when everything is reset?
I'm more curious why they're not just erased entirely and why they still have some kind of footprint.
Because the series takes place inside of a computer,
Ooh.
and the people who are in it are just characters created by people in the real world. So it resets in their character, so in essence, yeah, there's no save
Interesting.
file.
The safe.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the that would still lead to the question of why do they still have a footprint at all and not deleted completely? It's something the show doesn't exactly answer either, so don't think too
Yeah.
hard on it.
That's the thing, man. They are saved.
To be fair, I think the only reason it's literally there is to provide hints for the protagonists. I think that's the only
Okay.
reason they're not erased completely.
Yeah. So, you find out that, and spoilers here, that Akane is the one making the monsters, as we know, but she's also the one resetting the world.
She's supposedly the god of this world.
Mm-hmm. And there are kaijus in the mist that reset the city every time it's destroyed.
They put everything back.
except for the people that died. And Akane sends kaiju to make a perfect world. So she's the one that sent a kaiju that killed the volleyball player because, oh, they knocked Yuta's sandwich out of his hand and smashed it. She's mad now. They should die.
Which, again, given the idea that she is supposed to be the god of this world, right? Why does she need kaiju at all to rewrite it?
Yeah. Good point.
There's a lot here that doesn't make sense when you start thinking about it. Especially because they use the term that she is a god. Therefore, how the fuck?
Yeah.
Nani the fuck?
Hmm.
Like, use your omnipotent god powers to do things.
But she won't.
Nope.
She either won't or she can't. I mean, I guess you could make an argument that she's locked herself away from the god powers to a certain extent. But that's never either outright said or, you know, clearly brought up in any way.
Yeah. And one thing I found interesting about Anti is he could manipulate his kaiju form that every time Gridman got an upgrade, he would get a similar themed upgrade. Like,
He designed it that way, I believe, yeah?
yeah, when Gridman got flight capabilities, he's like, oh, I can fly too.
What was the one? He had one when Max combined with him. He never copied Max.
Well,
That was the one thing that confused me because I'm like, aren't you supposed to copy shit?
well, Max
why
is
don't you
more
got big
punching.
arms?
So
Yeah, but shouldn't his arms have increased in size and been similar to Max then?
maybe.
Because, I mean, they changed shape with his feet when Vit was combined, and he got the thrusters.
Yeah.
Just get add-ons after defeating these monsters or something.
No, it's just the combinations of the new characters being like, here's your new toy that combines with Gridman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although they've only been able to do one at a time because going all of them in there caused the whole thing to just kind of freeze and lock up. Because for whatever reason, Junk seems to be the portal in which you take on your actual form or what have you, right? In their case, it's the combination vehicles. In Yuta's case, he becomes Gridman.
But they do find out about episode 7 that if everybody uses half their energy and makes Gridman like half the size he normally is.
So think of it this way, Ryan. Junk only has so much memory. You can't max out the memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the computer just freezes and blue screens.
Yeah.
So if you are only half the size, you'll take up half the resources, and as such, that should be fine. Which it is. It works out that way. That's why they cut down the size to make it more manageable on the PC. Although, here's the one thing I wanted to bring up earlier, specifically regarding Anti. So since we're talking about resources and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the energy comes from or why or how for Gridman. Like, it doesn't seem to be the computer, because otherwise wouldn't it be like overheating constantly? It only seems to take damage whenever Gridman's beaten to shit.
Yeah.
At that point, why is it that Anti can only seem to transform when there's other kaiju around? And even then, he seems to have a time limit.
You know, that is a good thought.
That's what confused me, because I'm like, if it was just Gridman, I could say it's probably the computer. But it's not. Anti's got the same problem. And technically, Gridman can show up before the kaiju do, because they do that in one thing to, like, cause an evacuation so people wouldn't be around. Anti can't seem to do that.
Yeah. And I thought that was smart, having the preemptive strike.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, there's things in here that kind of don't seem to make sense, and I don't know if it's, answered in those audio things that you mentioned. It could be. Or if Gridman existed in some prior form to this, that would answer these questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just keep pointing out inconsistencies when I see them.
How many S's are there in this? Four?
Four S's. So yeah, we get to see, kaiju fight after kaiju fight. People that die disappear and are rewritten. Anti comes in, he gets defeated more often than not. Sometimes he doesn't even get defeated because he shows up too late.
Yeah, and he's like, Gridman, fight me! And out of power.
Yeah, Gridman's just gone already. So eventually we get to the point where Akane has kept losing and losing and losing. Actually, there's a good one. The actual dream episode where she puts the three main alliance crew to sleep. So Utsumi, Yuta, and Rika are all unconscious. They're all having... This one confused me at first because I'm like, they're hopping around in the timeline. What is going on? Because I thought when that episode came out, Shinjo, that Akane, had rewritten the past from the start to make it work out for her. I thought she was using her god powers.
That's what I was thinking too.
I'm like, oh, finally, that was clever. You're using your god powers to rewrite your history of what happened already? Great! And then it's like, wait a minute, this isn't making sense. And it's because they're all having their own individual dream. And apparently, Akane must have some connection to that because she's, talking about what's happening in the dream, even though she's on the outside with Alexis.
Uh-huh.
Either way, they eventually break out of that. Things happen, blah, blah, blah. Gridman wins the day.
Oh, I think it was either episode 10 or 11. Did you spot the clear Evangelion reference?
When they call themselves the Neon Genesis High Schoolers? Because that was pretty clear to me.
Maybe that, but you see, in Show's notebook, there's a note written in English, God is in his heaven, all is right with the world, which was a line Gendo says in End of Evangelion.
I forgot about that, but I did notice the note. I forgot that was an Eva reference.
Which is a, reference to, I think, some classic literature.
It sounds like it would be.
Yeah, but I'm just like, oh my god, how many other Evangelion references is there in this? And I found out that most of the characters' fashion designs are subtle nods to Transformers of all things.
You want to know the sad part? Literally, when all of the Boar and the others combined without Gridman, I'm like, this just looks like Optimus Prime.
Oh!
This looks like a knockoff Optimus Prime right here.
Now that you say it, it kind of does.
Like, they got the caliber as a sword, but Optimus half the time has a firefighter axe or something instead.
Yeah.
So, even him having, a weapon like that isn't something that's too different.
And just, and I'm jumping on TV tropes here, but, for example, Sho Utsumi, his t-shirt design is based off of Sideswipe's color scheme from Transformers.
I don't remember Sideswipe specifically. I remember the name, but I don't remember the Transformer.
In the Shattered Glass version, Sideswipe has a crossed out number 8, much like Show's shirt.
Okay.
So...
I've only watched a handful of Transformer series, so there's no guarantee I'm going to know exactly which one's referencing what here.
I haven't looked that deep into it, and maybe Studio Trigger, who this is animated by, thus the beautiful animation.
I will say, I brought this up to you before, speaking of the animation. I'll bring it up here just so it's in the review itself. It does feel like there's points where, you've cut the panel out of the manga, right? It's like, you see the character on the bus, and then all of a sudden, they're, halfway down the street and the bus is leaving. It's like, you've completely cut the part where they left the bus. It feels like there's little jump cuts in here that are a little too much.
So
and it kind of messes with the flow.
So I'm not too sure if this design team was a big fan of Transformers and just wanted to add subtle coloration nods to each character to be like, oh yeah, this is a nod to this character, this is a nod to Bumblebee.
Which, you know, given what we find out by the end, makes some sense from a character standpoint.
Right. So, we're going near the end of it, and Auntie decides, hey, to defeat Gridman, I must first save him so that I can be the one to defeat him. So he takes on.
Kill Gridman. He has got to be alive for me to beat him.
What the hell?
It's a very Vegeta thing to do.
Very Vegeta thing. So he takes on a Gridman form of his own called Grid Knight.
And for whatever reason, that form's way more powerful than Gridman himself. At least at this point, anyway.
Yeah. Which is, now that I'm actually looking at it again, Unit 1 from Ava.
That's when you said a reference. I'm like, is he talking about Grid Knight? The only thing that's missing, though, is some green in there.
Yeah. Let's just toss this into Discord too. And there's Grid Knight, Arion.
Although I will say also that Caliber has kind of been like talking to Auntie on the side every now and then, trying to steer him a certain way. And he's essentially succeeded here, where it's like you've kind of left behind, like you still have your clear, like, I want to beat Gridman.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean you have to kill him anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can help him at the same time. Like, you're a copycat. Studying the original is only going to improve you.
And all the while, Akane is trying to manipulate Auntie.
Yeah, Akane is desperately trying to work with it. Eventually, Auntie does something on his own where he makes the puppet kaiju. That fails. And at that point, Akane's just done with him. She's like, yeah, get rid of him. It's over. So Alexis is just like, yeah, sure, I'll take care of it. Essentially kills his eye, which I'm kind of surprised isn't reflected when he transforms at all.
Right.
Auntie has like this circular saw that pops out of his arm when he's in his human form for whatever reason. That gets knocked out of his hand. Carob grabs it and slashes his eye. And Auntie runs away at that point. And for the rest of the series, he's got like basically a bandage over the eye. Now, again, why that's not reflected when he transforms, I don't know. I feel like it should be. You know, even if it's just like in this Grid Knight form, that half of the visor is darker than, you know, the regular one.
Yeah. And then Akane falls into a deep depression, like, I can never win. Oh, but you need to make kaiju. Make another kaiju for me. I don't want to, Alexis. But...
I can't make kaiju anymore. It's not that she doesn't want to. She says she can't.
Oh, well, I'm going to take some of your old creations and...
Just gotta work with what I got.
So your standard fight all the dead monster episode.
Boss rush, let's go.
Although I did like the fact she tried to make a monster that was like this, I want to say...
Horribly deformed?
Yeah, it was like a horribly deformed Barney the dinosaur.
What?
And it was super weak.
Except it didn't vanish.
Oh.
Because something else was hiding inside the whole time. Now, why it took this long for it to hatch, because it was there for like a day or so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't expect something to be hiding in it. I kind of thought this was her losing like the ability to create kaiju. It's why she kept saying she couldn't do it anymore. She'd lost the ability to create clever and like just competent, I guess, kaiju. I thought that's what that was.
But the second form seemed very competent.
Very, yeah. And since it's not shown there in the actual sculpture that she had originally, I don't know if it was ever there to begin with or if Carob put it in there.
Huh.
Like that's what I'm not sure of. If it was always intended to have that or not, since it's not a creation of hers.
Yeah.
As far as we can tell.
So, Grid Knight teams up. No, this was the boss rush. Yeah, Grid Knight teams up with Gridman and helps him take down all the kaiju, while Akane, in her despair, is wandering the city, comes across the junk shop, and is like, hey, what's all that light going on in there? It does confirm Yuta is Gridman, and stabs him.
Box cutter. This is where we need our hockey mask.
And I did find it interesting. This was alluded to in the opening since the beginning.
I'm sitting there half the time, right? She's, what was it? Since like episode 4, I want to say. Whenever they were on the beach thing, right? Or the river thing, she had confirmed that it was him. I'm like, just kill him. Just stab him. It's so easy. Just do it.
No, but in the opening, you see a box cutter falling, and in episode 11, the box cutter is bloody.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, that's been there since the beginning.
Well, she's also been using the box cutter to create the kaiju. Like, it's been part of her sculpting gear.
Right, but just the fact that it's falling.
But it's now bloody. I mean, it's no JoJo's change-up, but I guess it's something.
Right. So, even though Gridman is basically incapacitated, since he's linked to Yuta, and can't really come out.
Doesn't she also, like, tip over the computer, too, on her way out?
Yes.
They're all worried about Yuta?
Right.
Also, you mixed it up, by the way. It was when they were fighting the big fucked up one that came out of the other one. And then the boss rush comes while he's unconscious.
Ah, okay. And then... No. They don't do a Grid Knight formation. Grid Knight just gets Caliber.
Yeah, when Yuta finally wakes up. After they realize, oh shit, Yuta is connected to the PC too, so he won't wake up until we fix the PC.
Do you want to know why, Arion?
Sure.
Because Yuta is actually Gridman. Gridman is possessing Yuta when Yuta's human.
Oh.
Which
Damn.
leads you to wonder why they need Yuta's body at all when they go into the PC to transform into Gridman.
Yeah.
Like, why do they need Yuta's physical body anymore? Why isn't he just back to his original consciousness?
Yeah. So that's why he has amnesia. The amnesia came on because Gridman possessed him and entered this new consciousness.
Okay.
And whatever reason, him getting in there, it means that he had no memory of what was going on, even, like, for himself. Like, he didn't realize he himself was Gridman until literally this episode.
Because it seems...
Jeez.
Because actually, due to a prior battle, Gridman, or the true Gridman, was split, fractured into various pieces, aka Gridman and the assist weapons, and until they could fuse back together, Gridman would never be truly complete.
Here's the next question, right?
Yes.
They're trying to gather everybody, and that includes Rika and Utsumi, right?
Right.
I thought that meant that there was some part of the consciousness of Gridman in both of them, too. Because why else would you need them to be there? Because the only thing they ended up needing any of them to do was to just type in a code.
Huh. Oh, and since we're now going on the final episode, and SSSS, well, at least in this series, because there is a sequel, and it might stand for something different in that one, but special signature to save a soul.
Okay.
A lot more than just S's in there.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, but when they type in the access code Gridman, you see SSSS pop up, and then it spreads out into special signature to save a soul.
So, while all this is happening, Auntie is trying to fight the kaiju that Carib has turned Akane into.
Mm-hmm.
While they're gathering everyone together to unlock all of Gridman, essentially.
Oh, and I think we skipped over the city in the sky.
Yeah, there was a city in the sky. Also, we skipped over the fact that you can't leave the city because there's nothing beyond it.
If you do, you'll fall asleep.
Yep.
That's weird.
You go on the train, you fall asleep.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely
the
a
whole
video
idea
game.
is that everything gets deconstructed and then reconstructed around you.
Yeah, they're in a video game or something.
I like how Arion was on the exact same page I was when I was going through this.
Makes sense.
I was saying this is a simulation.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something along those lines. Video
And
game
we're not
simulation.
technically wrong.
Right. It's not exactly that, but it's close enough to it that I would say is kind of like that.
There's nothing other than one or two lines that, until you actually have the whole picture, have any kind of context that would lead you to believe this.
Mm-hmm.
And literally the context is the last, I want to say 10 seconds of the series.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And Gridman gets his true form, which Alexis says looks very nostalgic.
Which is why I think there was some kind of series prior to this, maybe an Ultraman style series. Because he does look like an Ultraman knockoff in the true form.
I was going to wait until closer to the end of this, but this was co-created by Tsuburaya Productions, who makes the Ultra series.
Oh, there you go. No wonder they're making so many references to the Ultra series.
And you probably forgot about Kaiju Girls, but Red King, I think, was one of the main three.
You're right, I did forget about it, and you're right, she was.
Since they had a small discussion about, hey, Red King's not really red. Oh, it was in the third appearance.
Mm-hmm.
They do reference the Ultra series as a whole because Sho is a big fan of the Ultra series. In the Dream episode, he went kind of on a date with Akane to a possible Ultraman convention and got a few of the vinyl toys there. You see him holding a figure of this dragon-esque monster.
Something like that. It was neon colored too, like two-tone neon.
And in the dream he's like, no, everything's going too perfect. The real Akane wouldn't be this amazing of a person since he kind of has a crush on Akane.
She keeps talking oh man, we could totally just sleep together, you know? My parents won't be home. She keeps fucking trying to... And she's did that to Yuta at one point in whatever episode it was that she was sure it was him. She starts fucking with him.
And does she have... Is she bi? Does she have a crush on Eureka too?
Here's the question. In so much as she's a god, does she just love everyone? That hasn't pissed her off specifically, I guess?
Well, Gridman pissed her off. Gridman constantly pisses her off. She is pretty sure Yuta is Gridman, so...
She didn't realize that Yuta is directly Gridman, so much as he's some kind of key to it.
Okay.
She didn't know until she literally saw him in the jump into the TV and then stabbed him.
Yeah.
Which, in my mind is just stab him originally. You know he's a key anyway, why not? Wouldn't hurt to find out.
Yeah.
She'd literally lose nothing to do it as a villain.
So, yeah. All of these pieces come together. The final fight happens between Alexis and Gridman.
Alexis, who has now absorbed Akane, whose original kaiju form had been defeated, absorbs her takes on her power as a god and has become a force to fight Gridman with.
Oh shit.
Which I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping the battle would last longer because I'm like, we're wrapping stuff up real quick in this. This feels like it needs one more episode.
Yeah, like, the fight against, what is it? Zega, the big Akane is inside monster. That could have been its own episode, and then the final fight with Alexis could have been its own episode.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking should probably have happened. It should have had one extra episode.
Yeah.
Because the Carib fight is like maybe not even 3 minutes. Because there's a good chunk of it that's also just talking.
Yeah, and Gridman, well, true Gridman, pulls out his ultimate attack, the Grid Fixer Beam, which...
He didn't even realize he had until right then.
Well, if you want to go back to the Gridman original series, I'm going to say because he didn't have his true form, he didn't have access to the Fixer Beam.
Yeah, but during the whole time that he's there, though, like in his true form, he didn't realize that's what it was.
Okay. I can see where you're going now.
Because he's like, wait a minute, that's my true power. And it's like, you didn't know this at all until literally this point while you were fighting Carib. It wasn't until like you get blasted and like drops of sweat or something fall off of Gridman and start healing things, like putting things back to the way they should be.
Yeah.
It took you that long, sir. You didn't know you had this.
Ryan, I'm not... Since you're closer to my age than Brandon, does that true form of Gridman look at all familiar?
Yeah. Well, that looks like Ultraman.
Another series with 4 S's that apparently was a nod to Gridman's American series was Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Was that like on WB or something?
Maybe Fox? I don't know.
Okay.
But it was the same...
That's literally the same...
Well, like, the English version was, I believe, like, this was, like, pre or very early internet days, so the internet was being corrupted by computer viruses made by this guy, and I believe, like, that was the similar concept in Gridman, so this guy would need to go inside the computer to prevent the internet from being destroyed, which was affecting the real world.
I also like to point out that if you were watching the subs, Carib is Endeavor's voice actor from My Hero, and also Shakespeare from Fate.
Bingo.
Yep.
And Brandon, did you notice the assist weapons attack names and how they kind of were a little bit weird sounding?
I mean, I just chalked that up to being like a Sentai kind of thing.
Boar had the Sydney Super Adhesive Missile and the Forrester Extinguisher Missiles. I was looking this up because I'm like, that has to be a reference to something. The American version of Gridman, all the assist weapons attacks are based on some of the American characters' names.
I don't remember if they actually called them anything in the subs.
Oh.
The only one I think they did was like Calibur's Slash Attack. Because outside of that, I don't think any of them really mentioned a name for their attacks.
I have not seen Gridman, and I haven't seen Superhuman Samurai in like 25 years or something. But I remember that Servo, which was Gridman's name, had assist weapons of his own piloted by his friends. I believe in Gridman, they were just extra computer programs that his friends would like type in and help him out with. So this is just a little bit of combining both mediums. It's like Yuta has people that he teams up with that can become vehicles. When at the same time, I forget what American Gridman's name was. He had friends that would pilot vehicles. So, little nod there. So the city is safe. Gridman captured Alexis in this little hyper prison cube or something.
A
Something
USB
like that.
drive.
You know, that would be hilarious if there was a like big USB drive. Yep, captured Alexis. He's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I'm in.
So they also, like, when they get to that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they get to the point where, like, Gridman and the others are saying goodbye, they're in a place that I don't think we've ever seen before. I don't know where that is.
That was a nod to Gridman. That was
Like, the actual area?
Yes, that's where Gridman would be when he was waiting to be summoned.
Why is that in the city?
I don't know, because, like, maybe they're all in the computer, but that makes no sense.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Because you have them breaking into Akane's house, and they open the door, and it's the random cyber world.
Yeah, there's nothing there. Like, whatever was inside has just been carved out.
And, like, you're in the...
It'd be like in a video game if you tried to go through a door that never had an inside rendered.
Yeah, and they open it up, and they view the upside-down cyber city.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, though.
So, like, I'm not too sure if they're using that the waiting area, or, like, loading zone for Gridman is part of the cyber city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Although we did forget to mention the little girl kaiju that shows up and just basically tells fucking Yuta everything for no reason, because he's already on the right track.
Yeah, and she keeps mentioning her ancestor, which I'm guessing was in the original Gridman.
Again, that's why I feel like there was an original series or something.
And I'm not too sure if it's because of this, but due to reasons, Ultraman needs a human host. So maybe, like, in some side story, or maybe in the original Gridman, you find out that Gridman does need a human host for reasons, and that's why he needed to become Yuta.
Maybe? Like I said, that was my assumption, that there must be something in the original to really warrant this.
Yeah. To explain it a little better.
There is a sequel to this made in 2021 that we may get to down the line, or that I may watch on my own, and there are apparently going to be more down the line, maybe, because I heard, like, these two series did very well.
So the one thing that they bring up at the very end of this, like the last 10 seconds, right? Or they lead up to this a little bit in, like, Akane and Rika talking, and Akane saying, like, I've done all these horrible things, I'm gonna leave, you know. The thing we see in the last 10 seconds is a real life human girl, Japanese human girl, getting up out of her bed. You know, like waking up.
Yeah.
Hence, me starting to reformat this as maybe the entire fucking series was just a dream.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's why everyone...
But it would make sense why she's a god in that case and all of that. And it still fits into the simulation theory. You just change the name, really, and it still works.
Yeah.
And the people are
It also
kind of still
makes sense
sort of
with
exist.
It also makes sense with the ending as well. Because the ending showed a lot of, like, real places, but with the anime characters drawn over top of it.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if all of the characters that were in there were people that the actual Akane knew. And they were just the people that, you know, were populated there. Just her dream versions of them.
Then, if it was her dream, why does she keep losing?
Because, well, then there's the next question. Why is Gridman even in there?
Right.
Somebody's in
I mean,
trying
he
to tap
mentioned
her
something
dreams.
about saving a heart or something when he comes up with the fixer beam. So maybe something's been going wrong, and she's somehow in her heart? Maybe?
Huh.
Like fixing the depression or what have you that she's in?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, every time you see her in her quote-unquote room, it's covered with literal sacks of garbage everywhere.
And, like, rows of kaiju models.
Yep. Which, if this is all something of her dream and she is just originally... Well, actually, Karab also mentions, real humans don't actually sleep. Or would actually require sleep or whatever at one point.
Yeah. Huh.
Kind of insinuating that she's the only real human, and she's probably sleeping right now.
So I'm not too sure what happens in the sequel.
I don't know. Is Gridman in somebody else's heart? Are we suddenly in the real world for a change?
Is there another Subaraya production that they're adapting?
Also, it would make sense as to why everyone has that Transformer color scheme, because if everything is just something that's, from Akane specifically, and she's just a regular human that might have been a fan of that stuff, the color palette makes sense.
Is Akane based on anybody color scheme wise?
She's like purple and white with red eyes.
Her color scheme is based off the Shattered Glass evil variant of Optimus Prime.
Cool.
That makes sense. So I'm looking it up. I just looked her up specifically on the wiki. It says Replicompoid Avatar.
Is that her subtitle?
That's the version of her from the anime, and then they have the human version that you see near the end.
Huh.
I don't know what a Replicompoid Avatar is, but it makes me think, oh, maybe there is a computer. Maybe I am right, and they're just not clear that that's what it is.
Huh.
Let me see. Let me search Replicompoid Avatar.
Maybe that was a Gridman reference.
It could very well be. Oh, they call it the computer world.
Oh.
Computer world is a simulated reality that exists in the stories of the Gridman franchise. It is a parallel universe created by means of simulated reality within computer systems, as well as having pathways to the real world. Computer world is connected to a connected with hyperworld. Of course, there's more than just two.
Because Gridman was the hyper agent.
Yep. Home dimension of Gridman. Other than Gridman, several beings travel from the hyperworld to the computer world. So it's so the best way I'm understanding this is the computer world is kind of like a connection point between the hyperworld and the real world.
So maybe something from the hyperworld comes through again in the sequel?
Yeah. Although the way they're talking, right, with Akane being the god or whatever, I wonder if she sectioned off a part of the computer world where her city was to herself.
Ah.
And that's why she was considered the god of that one.
Oh. Okay.
Also, apparently Alexis Karab is from someplace completely different, but they don't say where.
Huh.
He's not from any of the three worlds that we just mentioned.
Huh. Interesting. And that's about it for SSSS.Gridman. Arion, does this sound at all interesting to you?
Yeah, I like robots and monsters and stuff, so...
12, 22-minute episodes.
Yeah, that's easy to do, too.
What does the 4 S's stand for in the sequel? There is a meaning to the 4 S's in the sequel. Scarred Soul. I am messing this up because there's a lot of S's. Scarred souls shine like stars.
Huh. She sells by the seashore, dude.
Yeah.
Gundam Wing Suit 9.3.
Okay, so I can point out here. I tried to look up Replicompoid. Apparently, a compoid are the people that live in the computer world, right?
Oh.
So the replicompoid is like, I guess, the form that the human consciousness takes when it goes there. How it's accessed or not, I have no fucking idea. Like how Shinjo got in there at all is unclear.
Yeah.
Very carefully. Just crawled into his computer.
Very carefully.
He shrunk down into a little wire. Took the magic school bus.
Mm-hmm. This Frizzle's just around.
Yeah.
Seatbelt, students! That's the only thing I remember about
Don't forget
that.
Izzy the iguana.
Yeah, about.
And the redhead who's always miserable about everything.
And like Miss Frizzle's like unique outfits that somehow relates to the plot.
Yes, clearly, because she can see the future. She knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, she is his teacher. That is in her lesson plan.
True, true.
Is it always, though? Because even when it's something that's unexpected in that series, she's already got a dress ready to go for whatever it is.
I don't remember that series that well.
Neither do I, but I remember that not all of them were expected.
Huh.
Like, for instance, the one kid getting sick and then literally shrinking down to go inside him.
Yeah, see what's going on. I remember that episode.
Maybe she's a god of that world!
She's a god of that world with her helpers, the magic school bus, and the goddamn iguana.
She can just explode anyone at any time.
It just has to, unshrink that school bus real quick inside someone and it's over.
Just inside the school, kid just randomly explodes.
Yep.
How about the magic school bus?
All the
He
kids
sees
are
they're not
screaming.
quite out and they expand and he just loses his nose.
Yeah. Just blows its head off. Just a bus on top of the kid.
Okay, students, today we'll be learning about plastic surgery!
Just
This is a great lead into our next episode about the magic school bus.
No,
What a great anime that was.
it's not. Oh my god, I'm just thinking about the Cory in the House anime meme.
That's our next April Fool's Day episode is literally going to be us doing the magic school.
Shit.
I don't quite know enough about our next one to give it a good teaser. Brandon, do you know enough?
I mean, communication is hard.
And with some luck.
Also, that's not the one. I just realized I jumped ahead on that.
Oh! Okay, do you...
I'll do it.
Alchemy!
I'll
Maybe.
do it.
Can he turn stone into flesh?
Pocket monsters?
Alchemy! Yeah!
The power of science in the primitive world.
Oh, okay.
I think. Maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully our guest will be able to help us. So, until next time, we'll catch everybody later.
Goodbye.
See you.